I was told when they had the tax increases that it was to pay for the jail for the employees and whatever. Is that correct?
Part of that is correct. We have, we were supposed to hire an additional 147, I believe, which is almost twice what we have in our current jail. And part of that tax increase, rather than hiring them all at the same time, we did them in increments. And part of the commissioners will tell you that that's what those tax increases are for, is to pay for those, the salaries and the benefits and stuff for the new people in the jail. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Cook.
This contractor didn't do his job right on the jail. Did y'all penalize him to get some of that money back that wouldn't have to be passed on to us?
Okay, that subcontractor was not related to Lubbock County, but it was in the contract with Yates that if they didn't finish that jail by December 08, that we would get $4,000 a day. Okay, and they've been paying that. And they will continue to pay $4,000 a day that we get back from Yates and Son until we get the keys to that facility. And that was put in there specifically to help offset the prisoners that we have to farm out to other counties. So that is correct.
I have a question, Sam. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Ronnie O'Neill, who's running for sheriff, had brought up an interesting point that the federal marshal's office hires county deputies, whatever, to transport federal prisoners, and that as far as he knew, there has not been the bill sent over to the feds to pick up that cost. And I'm just wondering if we're missing some areas where we could, recoup some of our expenses and things in that regard. I don't know whether you're dealing that much with it, but in regard to the budget, there have been times that departments have turned in budgets lower than the county auditor recommends, and I've testified to that, gone through each department at some of the hearings. But somehow we've got to get better control of that county budget. There's always ways to save in those areas, and
I agree.
I'm hoping that you recommend those things. Either one of you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the federal marshals, about money there, but yeah, I think there's ways that we can cut if I can get 2 other people to go with me.
Well, my question, when you mentioned that they wouldn't do the security according to Lubbock specs or county spec, were they saying they had more security and they didn't want to go with your specs, or you had more security? In other words, there are lots of jail breaks. And did we have a tighter security plan and they wouldn't go with it than what they wanted to put in?
Well, there's certain equipment that has to the way that it's put in, the conduit and the wires and all the electronic stuff, they would not, we said we have to have this, and it's got to be able to do this and this and this, and they wouldn't put it in, and they ran the conduits wrong, and they ran the wires wrong, and some of the stations they didn't do right, and we were going, no, it's got to be done this way, and this is why it's got to be done this way, because we got to do this and this and this, we got to be able to do this and ship prisoners here and here and here, and they wouldn't do it. So the person that the 2 people that are more involved in that probably would be Bill McKay, goes to all the meetings. Patty is more involved in that also, but Bill McKay is probably the main person. He kind of took over from Commissioner Kitten, who ramrodded the whole thing. But there were just some very specific things that we had to do to the way that it was put in, and transferring prisoners from one cell to another, or one hall to another, or from one pod to another, and they wouldn't do it.
Mr. Nelson, in light of all the fiasco of the county jail and the situation of 4-1, 3-2, that ongoing battle, unless we can get the public to go out to the ballots and reverse that trend, how do you see yourself going in there and being a leader to change that 4-1 or 3-2 situation?
2 things. I think you will never hear from me I don't have a clue. You will never hear from me that I don't know the budget. What I will do, and one thing I know I can promise you, there's very little that we have control other than the things that I'm tell you what I'm going to do now, is that I will ask questions. I will ask why, and I will demand accountability from those other 4 people on the commissioners court. I will demand accountability from every department head, Michael, in the county budget system. I will ask them why they want this amount of money, to justify that amount of money, and find out what they're doing and why they're not doing it in a cost-efficient manner. You ask questions, and from that, you learn and you get respect of those people that work within the county, and you get respect of those people with whom you sit around the table in government. You hold people accountable. I think you also work for the benefit of the county, and you emphasize to those people that there's something bigger than their individual county, their individual precinct. There's something bigger than their individual needs or desires for their particular department or their particular precinct. The county is bigger than all of us, and the taxpayers and the voice of the taxpayers are bigger than any one commissioner only. And I think that we need somebody with a freshness, somebody willing to try harder, and somebody perhaps with a different approach that will ask those questions and demand their accountability, and demand that they will work for the good of the county. That's what I propose to do.